Hey guys, so to continue on from the last video that I just posted, I talked about day 1 through 5 there. In this video I'm going to talk about day 6 through 10. I kind of ended the video alluding to that this past week has been extremely challenging for me. Yeah, I have to say it's one of the toughest physically and mentally thing that I have personally overcome in terms of health. I guess I'll just start by just talking to you about the details of it all, but it was extremely challenging and it took a lot out of me, emotionally, mentally, and physically. So I was saying how on day 5 was my kind of recovery day from my neuropathy in my hands and feet. When I woke up on day 6, I knew I wasn't feeling well. I sensed that I had a fever. I told the nurse, she checked my temperature. It was only 99.7, and that's not technically a fever in the medical field's eyes. I think you need to be 104 and up to be considered a fever, or where they would flag it as a fever. So I kind of just laid in bed. So this was probably at like 7 in the morning. So I kind of just laid in bed, dealt with the rounds, told the doctors that I wasn't feeling too well. And they're just, okay, well, you don't really have a fever yet. And pretty much by 12, they checked my temperature again and it was 102. So then they went through the whole spiel again, giving me Tylenol, giving me and because I was shivering so much, they gave me some meds to kind of calm me down on the shivering. And once again, it didn't really help, unfortunately. I think the medication I can take those medication within like a 6-hour window, but the medication to me felt like it wore off within like 2 hours, and I was kind of left hanging out to dry. I told the nurses if I can have some Ativan to at least knock me out, so that I could have some type of relief rather than just laying and shivering for the next 4 hours until my next dose of the medication. So they did do that and it did help a little bit, but I think the whole day of day 6 was just off. I couldn't do anything. I was in bed the whole time. I was shivering, I was shaking. I was just I was already so fatigued. It made me even more fatigued and frustrated, and the headaches and the shivering and the fever, it took a toll out of me. I didn't really eat much that day. I just drank as much fluid that I possibly can. But yeah, so during that time, I guess I can tell you my fever was ranging from 101 all the way up to 103, and it never really broke, and it didn't break for pretty much the next 2.5 days. So day 7 was the same, and my fever did not break until halfway through day 8, around noon on day 8. But anyways, going back to day 7, the fever still continued, but I kind of figured out a way to at least keep myself mobile and motivate myself to get out of bed by pretty much during the window waiting for when the medicine would kick in. What's it called? For the medication to kick in, I decided that I would walk to warm up my body so that I would prevent myself from shivering. It was slow. I did maybe like 2-3 laps around the floor, and then I would come back, and that would kind of help a little bit. And I was like, yes, I finally found something that works. So I was happy about that. I was able to shower and not feel winded. But when I went to go take a shower, and I noticed that the top, like from my head to my waist, from the pretty much the top half of my body was covered in hives, or what I thought was hives, but it was actually a full body rash. So I notified my nurse, and he was like, oh, that looks like engraftment syndrome. I need to tell the doctor. And I was like, okay, what am I supposed to do? And then she said, okay, well, just continue taking your shower, and then I'll see. They're gonna come by and they're gonna examine you. And so after the NP kind of looked at me, she's like, okay, I'll give you here's some ointments to help hopefully relieve some of the rash. And they wanted for me to go take a chest CT, because with engraftment syndrome, once it hits the skin, sometimes it really likes to attack the liver and the intestines. So they want to make sure that those organs are still fine. So I went to do a chest CT afterwards. Luckily, the chest CT cleared and everything was okay. But the rash by nighttime was extremely horrible. It got so itchy, I couldn't even handle it. There was nothing that I could do. I had some Benadryl cream, and there was like absolutely no relief. I put cold packs on my body. That was a temporary relief, but it kept me up the whole night, and I was already so tired from the fever that I'm having. So on top of the fever, I had to deal with this rash and itchiness. And so that really took a toll on my body, and it took a toll on me mentally, because I was kind of on a high. Okay, I figured out a way to deal with this fever and pretty much wait for it to break. And then my body's like, haha, just kidding, you're not done yet. And then they throw me with this type of craziness that I have to deal with too. So, you know, it is what it is. You roll with the punches, and you just kind of deal with it, I guess. And so the nurses, because I couldn't sleep, and I was pretty much on the brink of tears, and I was crying, and they felt so bad for me. And so she was like, well, what I can do is maybe give you 25 milligram of Benadryl and see how that goes. She gave me that. It worked for a little bit. I woke up within an hour. I was so tired. Then she called the on-call doctor to see if they can up the Benadryl, and gave me a 50. During my 4 a.m. vitals, I woke up, and I was just like in a state of panic. I guess that I was so extremely exhausted, extremely tired. I have this terrible fever that won't go away. At that time, I think it was still 103. And I have this rash that I keep on scratching and itching and rubbing myself just to find some type of relief. And she was like, okay, well, I'm sorry, I can't do anything. Let me see if I can get the on-call doctor to give you something else, that to help alleviate the itching. And so what he did was like, you know what, just give her 50 milligrams of Benadryl to like completely knock her out. Like, let's do that and see if that helps. Which it did. I think it knocked me out for like 4 hours or so. And so the rounding doctors, usually I see them around 10, but I saw them really early that day, probably earlier than normal, which was around like maybe 8:45. And so they kind of examined me. They saw the rashes. They're like, oh, okay. And so they gave me doses of, they started me on steroids. They gave me stronger steroid cream. They gave me anti-itch cream, pretty much what they call the City of Hope spa treatment for skin rashes. And yeah, so that happened, and they started on that, and the lotion, actually, the anti-itch lotion actually helped a lot, which is called Sarna. This is really, really good for any type of itching relief, you can buy it over the counter. And so yeah, that was pretty much day 7. And so day 8, luckily my fever broke. All the things that the doctors prescribed for me, it worked, and the rash was still there, but I knew a way to like control it, and so that was okay. That was still okay. And so I kind of used day 8 as kind of a calming recovery day from like the craziness of the last 2 days. It was just so horrible. I just really didn't know what to do. Like I can't really explain how challenging it was. I mean, my body's still covered in that rash, but when you kind of see yourself and like your face is like this, it's like super swollen. You're like you're like, you just don't look like yourself. And when you look in the mirror, and it just does something to you, you know. But yeah, I mean, luckily my face is semi-normal. It's still a little swollen still from all the fluid retention, but I was not gonna record. Guys, I was not gonna record what I look like on day 7. It was not gonna happen. So yeah, so day 8, the swelling went down a little bit. It was still really puffy. It was still really red, but at least the itching, there was relief from the itching. And you know, my fever broke, so everything was kind of going in the right directions. The doctors did their rounds, and it helped. And part of the reason why I'm wearing my normal clothes is because the gowns actually makes the rashes, it irritates my skin a little bit more, so that's why I wear like I wore what I brought, some of the clothes that I brought in. But yeah, and then pretty much day 9 and 10 for me was kind of a recovery day. I just kind of focus on my rash, focus on taking care of my skin, focusing on catching up on the physical activity that I missed out on, focused on eating because I didn't have a lot of protein in me. Just really mentally focusing on every single thing that day 6 and 7 and part of day 8 kind of put me back. And also during this week, I think within a day or 2, this happened. So all of my hair is gone. There's like a little bit of peach fuzz, which I'm hoping the nurses can just shave off for me. But ow, I have some folliculitis because it's really tender. But anyways, lost all my hair. Lost most of my hair anyways. At least I still have my eyebrows. But yeah, you know, thank you to those who reach out to me, because they said I haven't, and I'm sorry I didn't, you know, post any videos sooner. I just wasn't in any state to really talk about or summarize what was going on. And sorry if I didn't get back to you. I just wasn't in that state of mind yet. And hopefully you can see these videos and kind of, your questions are answered. So the next couple days, I'm hoping that everything will be on the upward trend. Right now, my counts are still extremely low. And so anything could happen. But I wish that I went through the toughest part. I really, really, really wish. But you know, I'm always prepared. I'm hopeful, but I'm always prepared for, I guess, the next battle that I need to fight in here. And you know, I'm so grateful for all of your kind messages, thoughts, prayers, and from my family, and the support from my family, everybody. It really gets me through being in here. I have to admit, it's kind of lonely, but I'm wishing that everything that I do, pouring all my energy to focusing on doing the right thing, will get me out of here faster. So so that I can focus on like the next challenges. So I'm looking forward to pretty much the end of the weekend, which I'm hoping that my counts will go up. Crossing fingers. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'm not sure when I'm gonna update next. Hopefully I'll update by the end of the week if my counts are going up. All right, bye guys, thanks for watching.